Hello,
Okay.
everyone. So we're here, Azra and Marieke. So Azra, maybe you can introduce yourself quickly?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Azra. I'm a skin therapist by profession at the moment, and I'm also by education plant science and chemistry graduate. I work and live in The Hague, in the Netherlands, where I own a skin clinic called Aspa Beauty, as well as my skincare brand Azra Botanical Simplicity.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan, I can only say. Your
Thank you.
products have really, I can really see a first time I think that I use natural skincare products where I really see the difference and the benefit on my skin. So I'm a big
Great.
fan.
Thanks a lot.
Uh,
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and I'm Marieke. I'm a functional nutritionist. So basically, that's the degree I have. So I really I focus on helping women in perimenopause and menopause mainly with hormone balance. Be that hormone therapy, but also everything that goes with it. That I actually have a lot of people who have gut health problems and toxin problems. So I actually call myself the stress detective. So what I really do is I take my detective lenses, and that's what I love to do, is really connecting all the pieces of the puzzle and look what's really the underlying cause for why people are feeling unwell and why, they may have all these kind of symptoms. And I think in perimenopause, for women, it's often that they feel like they have something, something new popping up every day. And it's also actually very easy to blame everything on the hormones, although the hormones they play a big role, but I also always like to point out that it's not always the hormones, it's also, everything that we do around it or, th things that impact us that will then also impact the hormones, but basically will have
Mhm.
an impact on the rest of our well-being.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think in skincare industry, it is not very profitable to say that actually what has the biggest influence on our skin um, is the diet and the food that we take into our body. Everybody, if you look at on the social media, for example, skin therapists are talking about the different products, skincare products, or they're talking about fantastic treatments, which, of course, they are extremely important, and not all of them are always beneficial for the skin, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But the essence is everything starts with the diet. And this is what I would like us to talk about today. Why diet is so important for different stages of our life. We have teenagers in our clinic, and then we have also, adults, and the food needs are different, and you can definitely see it on the skin.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And I would even maybe even take it a step further and say it actually, I mean, of course, what kind of food you put in your body then also has an impact on your gut health and on your digestion. But that's really also where I see, even for myself, I have a very clean diet. But when I know when my gut is not well, I can clearly see it on my skin. And I mean, that's so true. I mean, I've had many clients also who came to me with acne or, yeah, mostly actually acne, as a skin problem. And then
Mhm.
what we did was, working on balancing the blood sugar. So, cleaning up the diet and working on gut health and then basically without, using specific products, the acne went away. So,
So
and I
it's not
think,
about having a special supplements and this. It's actually having a good, simple, straightforward diet that gives the results.
Yeah, I mean, even if you consider hormones, like I see with acne, often also, there's a problem with testosterone metabolism or maybe hormone imbalance. Often teenagers have it, and then also women in perimenopause are a little bit like reverse teenagers. They're basically going backwards again through
Mhm.
puberty. So basically, the hormones are a little bit like imbalanced. And then, when progesterone goes low, that can then cause for some testosterone imbalance. And also it increases inflammation. And that's really the key here because when we have inflammation in our body is also, you could say it's not using the right pathways to metabolize our hormones. So
Mhm.
basically, testosterone can be converted into estrogen, or basically, there's what we call dirty or estrogen or testosterone metabolism
Mhm.
that can then lead to these skin conditions because they create this kind of inflammatory hormone imbalance. But essentially, if we would actually not have blood sugar problems or eat so many inflammatory foods, we may actually not have that problem. Does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so it's about cutting the sugar down and making sure that some other foods which can cause the inflammation that you lower it down. And do you have, for example, for teenagers, some advice regarding what should be there, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or what to include and what to avoid?
Yeah, I mean, especially for teenagers who are mostly prone to acne, I would definitely stay away from gluten or dairy. And I know that's probably not what people want to hear. Those are and as you said, sugar. Those are basically like the three main offenders that create
Mhm.
inflammation. But also what they do is they spike our blood sugar. When we start our breakfast with
Cereal.
bread or cereal, and then maybe some, most people have like jam and butter on toast or maybe to Nutella. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was eating that, honestly. Or I was eating actually what many people think as very healthy, which was my favorite breakfast for the longest time, oatmeal. And we've been told, oatmeal, it's so healthy and it's so good for
Yeah,
your
yeah.
cholesterol. And I mean, I don't want to like say it's all bad, but basically, there's been so many studies now that have proven oatmeal to be a main blood sugar spiker, as much as actually eating, basically pancakes or muffins or things like that for breakfast.
Okay.
So basically, sometimes it's also the healthy foods. And also, what I see in my clients is they will have granola because they think it's healthy. But there's so much sugar in that stuff. You may actually better eat sugar pops. There's less sugar in that. So,
Okay.
I mean, those are also some like things that
The things to
people,
avoid. And what are the
it's a
good
commercial
breakfast?
that says this is healthy, or we think there's grains in it, so it must be so healthy. Or also oat milk is very popular, and then now you even see them labeled as no added sugar. Yeah, but I mean, oat is pretty high in sugar itself, the same as rice milk. So it's actually double the sugar content than, regular milk would have. So
Uh-huh.
and then they put a label that says no added sugar. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't need to add any more sugar to that because it's already sweet enough on its own. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there's no sugar in it. It just means that they didn't add anything to it, to something that actually doesn't need to be, need any sugar adding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay.
we're often misled, I think, in these things. But I would
Yeah.
definitely, this is what I also recommend for women in perimenopause, is really starting your day with a high protein breakfast, high protein and high fat. And
Hmm.
it's not that you can't have the carbs, but, keep them for dinner. That's a better time to have them.
Okay. And give us some example of a good protein loaded breakfast
Yeah, I
options.
mean, for somebody who may be eating, oatmeal or cereal in the morning, what's a good replacement in general, what I find is what I call grain-free breakfast cereal or like a chia pudding. And there
Oh,
you
shit.
can actually add like collagen powders or protein powders. And there you want to also not use whey protein because that's Usually not good for people who have, gut issues or, who don't have clear skin. So that can really be a source of, more breakouts.
Mhm.
So definitely you wanna, if you use a protein powder, you would go for a vegan, like a plant-based protein powder.
Okay.
And then, using those grains, and there I mean like chia seeds or flax seeds,
Mhm.
psyllium husk. These are also, all basically grains that are very good for your gut health, for your intestinal lining, but they also provide, good amounts of fat and a little bit of protein, and then you can still pimp that up with,
Yeah, yeah.
some protein powder and use, maybe a full fat coconut milk with some water or also when I travel I use MCT powder, which is also coconut derived. So you don't have to like deal with like milks and
Mhm.
traveling, with dry stuff is usually easier.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could also make your own granola and basically just use nuts and seeds and have some fresh fruit with it instead of those, store-bought granolas where they add a lot of sugars and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think about the eggs?
Yeah, I mean, this is would be something that's more similar to, cereal with milk. But in general, having eggs or even, fish or chicken or any type of animal protein that you actually can enjoy in the morning, definitely have that. Basically, when you look at my breakfast, you would think it's lunch or maybe dinner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, because some cultures they actually eat a soup in the morning for breakfast.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Asian cultures, they have all these, congis and pho's and, whatever kind of stew-like soups. So yeah, and I think in winter it's usually also the time where we need more of those, cooked, warming, nourishing meals.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely that's also, if you like that. I mean, just because the industry has taught us to eat Nutella and cereal in the morning, I mean, you can eat anything at any time of the day, right? As long as you enjoy it. So we don't
Yeah,
actually need to limit our heads because just the marketing industry or the food industry is kind
telling
of,
us. Yeah, yeah.
telling us we need to have pancakes or no. I mean, we can have everything, anything really. And
Yeah,
I mean, I also usually find that people who don't feel like really like eating in the morning or who really appalled by the idea of having like eggs or
hmm.
even fish or things like that in the morning, it's usually also because they have a problem with cortisol and they're actually not really awake in the morning. So then they're usually actually not that hungry and they just, it's those people are a little bit cranky in the morning and who just want to have coffee and be left alone.
Uh, okay.
But I think if you're really, if you have a healthy digestive system and, basically that's usually you wake up and you want to eat and you can actually, and also your digestive function in the morning is much more performant than
Uh-huh.
at night, so it's actually better to eat, heavy and high protein things in the morning rather than in the evening when your metabolism is already low and you can't actually really digest those things so well anymore.
Okay, but for the dinner, you just mentioned to include carbs.
Yeah.
But if you take the carbs on its own, am I right in saying that actually that can have an inflammation on your skin, can cause inflammation on the skin?
Yeah, basically, every
How
time that
would
we
you?
have too much sugar and carbs count into that, if you have just a full dish of pasta or rice or, white, basically, you always need to combine fat, fiber, and protein, so that you actually have a balanced meal so usually the result of that is that you actually feel satisfied,
Mhm.
after your meal. And if you have too much carbs, typically you will tend to overeat because you
Yeah.
basically reach that blood sugar peak and then actually you kind of step over your satiety signal of your brain, because you have so much glucose that's flooding your brain that at one basically your satiety signal kind of gets put off, and then
Hmm.
people tend to overeat, and then usually they get that kind of carb coma.
Uh-huh.
When you basically after your lunch you feel like you have to lie down and take a nap.
Or even like a 3 o'clock, when people feel a little bit
Yes. Yeah,
drowsy and
exactly. That basically the after lunch, basically, oh my God, I need like a coffee infusion to get through my next meeting.
yeah, yeah,
That's typically that. Or yeah, basically that 3 p.m. kind of afternoon dip. That's usually already because you started your day with the wrong breakfast.
breakfast. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, if people want to meet you and have a session with you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I usually like to meet everyone first to have a quick chat about, what they want to achieve and what basically their problems are. And also to see for myself, am I able to help this person, or is this maybe something that, I would rather refer to a colleague who I know is better or, suited, or so
Mm-hmm.
basically I like to have a first chat with people to really see what they're about, what they want to achieve, what they want to do, and also
Mm-hmm.
tell them what my approach would be to see if feel comfortable with that. So that's usually
Mm-hmm.
the way to start, and then from there, if if we align, then I will always start with what I call a deep dive session, where I really take like an intake and look at have people fill in a questionnaire and basically go through even blood work or things that they can submit to me, so that I can have like a good overview of everything that's going on before I make any other recommendations.
Okay, so you actually really look at it holistically. You look at the health situation of the person before you dive into the food recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, basically that all goes together, right? It also depends on the objectives, but yeah, I will usually look at all these things, what kind of supplements are they taking, what's their diet and their lifestyle routine, basically. Do they have any family history with, cancer or things, which in hormone therapy is also important. So, I
Mhm,
like to get this full information first in those first sessions to before I
mhm.
then make recommendations on, oh, we may need to, if to get you better, we need to do some more in-depth like gut testing, or it seems like you may have food sensitivity, so we may need to test for that, or maybe we don't need to do any testing. So, and we will just, so it's basically about, having all the elements to make a good plan that really reflects with what the client wants and what the situation looks like.
Okay. And uh, I, for example, think that if you have a good diet, or like a varied diet, and especially focused on the plants and the vegetables and the fruit, mainly vegetables actually, that your supplements are not always like you should not rely only on the supplements. You really have to sort out your diet before you go and decide which supplements to go for. You agree?
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah, I
think,
totally agree. I mean, we supplements are supplements. That's exactly that name, right? And although it's true that, the quality of our food gets less and less good, so we actually tend to need to supplement more and more. But yeah, basically the diet is always the starting point, and there's so many people who actually think that they can just replace food by supplements.
exactly.
But it's also because, people, they don't want to be bothered, and it's always difficult to make changes, right? So it's
Mm,
just much easier to swallow a pill than, changing the way you eat and shop and, all these things. So, but I personally, I always see the biggest impact and results when clients are making changes to their diet before we even go into hormone
absolutely.
therapy or anything else. And sometimes I have people who come with severe brain fog and can't function in the afternoon and completely overwhelmed with everything. And then we just change the breakfast. We just have them eat protein at breakfast and not fruit with yogurt. And
Exactly.
and that changes everything. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many clients I've seen who said, "Oh, I don't have like anxiety anymore. Oh, I can actually function now. I feel like I'm doing things on my to-do list now. Before my day used to be over at 3 p.m., you know? So this is
Exactly. Yeah.
really where we get and it's for free. You know, we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
need to, I mean, we need to buy food, but we need to buy food anyways because we need to eat and live. Supplements can be also pretty expensive. So food is really everything you can do for free, but you need to do it. So that's the hard part.
Yeah. It is about, yeah, tweaking the lifestyle and understanding you don't need to reach for another bottle of supplement or another skincare product. You really need to think how you can organize your life to eat healthy and to cook for yourself.
Yeah,
Agree?
yeah, exactly. And I get it. I mean, if we already feel overwhelmed, then, making changes seems so far away and like, oh my God, I can't face this now, And
Yeah.
then you go scroll on Instagram and you see a pop-up for the magical thing
Pill.
that will gives you more energy, right? And you go like, oh gosh, I'm gonna buy that. And then in the end, you have a full stack of supplements at home that maybe haven't, added much to value to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Depleted your bank account.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think we had a nice little short discussion about food and the skin.
Yeah.
And
Some food for thought as well.
I think food for thought as well. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if people would like to reach us, I'm sure we will share our details with the people. And it's easy to reach you in Belgium or in the Netherlands, and myself also in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I mean, I do work online as well, so I didn't say that, but I'm basically all over the world almost, so yeah.
Yeah. Thanks God for that, for the online consultations.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not all bad, isn't it?
exactly. Thank you so much, Marieke.
Yeah, my
And
pleasure. It was good talking to you as always.
yeah, let's connect again soon. Yeah.
Yes, let's do that.
Thanks. Thanks.